Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. I was at Bar Citizen last week, so we didn't do one. This week, yeah, I don't know what to talk about anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. This is the drought time. There's going to be plenty to talk about after CitizenCon. I'm sure of it. The idea of doing a weekly podcast around Star Citizen is not easy. And today it feels harder than it's ever felt. We have been playing 3.17 for 6+ months now. And personally, I'm bored. And I want to leave this kind of open. This will be a bit of an open forum podcast of members of the community that can come on and talk about whatever they want. If you guys are unfamiliar with Answer the Call, it's a show that happens on Sunday on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, where members join my Discord channel, discord.gg/SaltEMike, and we talk about a certain topic. And I think what makes the podcast special is most podcasts in Star Citizen are members of the content creator community. And I think, looking at recent events, not everybody cares what a content creator thinks. And I think taking a platform that, I put a lot of work into and help grow, and allowing other people to kind of stand on that platform and talk about what's important to them in Star Citizen is special. And I think that that's what's good about this podcast, and I want to keep that going. At this point, I'm frustrated. I'm incredibly frustrated. And I can't deal with it anymore. I'm bored. There's just so much that it's so weird because you see PES coming, we see things moving in a direction that is a positive one, but not fast enough and not fully complete enough. The PES thing really, really drove me mad. That can definitely be something that we talk about. PES comes out, it's going to be in 3.18, but matchmaking isn't. And it's just like, what? But then, is matchmaking this incredible concept that is really difficult to build? No. It's a thing that exists in almost every game with multiplayer, right? So it's something they can do, and they're going to get there, and I'm not concerned about that. The concern that I have is, what are we going to do in this game? What is Tony Z doing? That's my big gripe today. That's what I need a little therapy on. We talk about it a lot on this podcast. What are we going to do? What's going to inform our gameplay? I see a lot of I would call them kind of white-ish knights out there going and saying, well, Star Citizen is a sandbox. You could do whatever you want. And I look at other games that are considered sandboxes, and there's a lot of things that you could do yes, you can make your own choices, but there's a lot of things that the game company does to inform those choices. For example, tiers of material that craft different tiers of weapons and armor and whatever, right? These are more the fantasy style MMOs that I'm used to playing. How is this game going to work? Well, that should all be informed by Quanta. That, I think, 2019 CitizenCon was talked about. 2021, it was talked about. 2022 CitizenCon, it's nowhere to be found. What is this guy doing? Why are we putting so much faith in someone that has not delivered anything tangible? He's my gripe right now. He's the thing that's frustrating me. We're focused on dynamic events that, I'll be honest, I thought I needed. But I think once Siege of Orison came, I don't. feel I need anymore. I'm dynamic event out. I'm done. I'm over it, because I think the choice of these other sandbox MMOs of I log in and I can go mining, but there's a reason to do it, because I take those materials and I create something useful with them, or something that's useful to somebody else. So I sell it and then buy things that are useful to me. Usefulness isn't a concept in Star Citizen as much as I'd like it to be. You have components that you can upgrade, and they're useful, but they don't degrade. You reclaim your ship, you get them back. I think we all know that might change in the long term. But right now it feels kind of weird. And Tony's got things of his stuff that are in game. It's supposed to inform fuel prices and repair prices, right? And I think missile prices as well. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And even more recently, I believe in 317.2, our interdictions are informed by, a big topic of his, probability volumes. But very similarly to the initial implementation of PES, they maintain the status quo of the game that we've been playing for the last 5 years. I don't know about you guys. I no longer want the status quo. Maybe the interdiction thing was pulled. I have no idea. Regardless, I don't think we would significantly feel a difference. You wouldn't know that there was more pirate activity in a given area. Therefore, I'm going to be interdicted more. So maybe I should avoid that route, right? Then we hear about this other team working on it. This is my biggest concern right now for Star Citizen. And again, this is an open forum. This is my therapy at the moment. This is why I kind of do podcasts like this sometimes. So I need the therapy. I need to talk about it. I need to let it out. If you're not into that kind of content, I understand. That's my pain point right now, is I look at so many other games and it's so much easier to just go, wow, there's so many things I could be doing. Which one am I going to do today? What's the most important thing? What is the pressing issue for me today in this game? That is what a sandbox is. A sandbox is not necessarily a ship meetup. A sandbox is not necessarily creating military RP scenarios. A sandbox is a game that gives you so many choices that you have to determine which is the most important one to you. That is what Quanta was supposed to deliver for this game. But we got fuel prices that don't make a difference. Repair prices that I don't see the difference. We're still mining Quantanium only because it doesn't make anything except for money. Salvage is an interesting thing. I'm really interested in hull stripping. I never thought I would say that. I said this earlier on my stream, is you're taking material off of a ship and crafting repair material. It's kind of cool. The idea of hull scraping being the kind of min-maxy element of salvage. It's like, all right, well, salvage, I'll obviously be salvaging useful components. Again, usefulness, hopefully at some point in the future. And if I want to make the full amount from that I could possibly make off of this salvageable ship, I'll strip the hull too and sell that, or use it to repair things. Usefulness. Useful FPS armor. Useful weapon attachments. Useful armor attachments, maybe. Useful ship components. useful, ship weapons. I'm just concerned when you don't see progress on that being talked about at CitizenCon. What's Tony Z doing? What the hell is going on? And why are we still focused on dynamic events? Every event that a player chooses to do is dynamic, right? I have choices. I make my choice. When they make dynamic events, the choices become incredibly limited. If that's the focus, it's not creating choice. It's actually defeating the idea of choice. I think it was a noble idea, and I think dynamic events were great. I loved all of them except for Ninetales. I thought Ninetales was pretty bad personally and unbalanced and just silly and needs a lot of work. But I think the plan and the choice to go in that direction made sense at the time. And I think where we are now is at a crossroads. You have to choose a direction. And I think it's time to start giving and informing more choice. Right? If you want to go mine Hadanite, what does Hadanite do? Why do I want to mine it other than make money? When I'm there, should my armor get damaged very quickly by the acidity of the planet that I'm on? How do I get or create or craft armor that could survive there longer? Right? All sorts of things like that. This is all long-term little, examples. But we have to start working towards these things, I think. And then I think that there's no clear long-term vision for the game. But yeah. So anyway, let's bring our next callers on. Our first one is Reezer. Here we go. Hey, can you hear me?
Hello, test. Yes, I can.
Okay. I hear you loud and clear as well. Nice.
All right. No echo, nothing?
No.
All right. That's okay. So just a funny remark as we start out. It's so interesting, and it's like such a differentiation between old and new backers, right? When you talk of Tony Z and Chris and like the other heads of the different studios under CIG or something, and I always have it in me that I am not even that recent of a backer, right? Like I have been here for over 3 years. We're actually coming up fourth in December, I think. And these guys are just kind of unknown for people, even to people like me, because like what have I seen from Tony Z? He did that single present during my time of having pledged for the game, obviously. And yeah, so like there was that Tony Z presentation during CitizenCon 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. I don't remember actually, but one of those. And then Chris, there was that like 3 years ago he sat down doing like a round table, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. Like if you think about it, you always come back to these guys and like what their vision is, or what their purpose is, and like they are just non-existent to even people like me who are like medium term backers, I guess. Like it's so funny that they just don't really show. And it's strange because these are the people who are supposed to set the vision for a game, and like that circles back to the main problem that we have right now, is that there has never been a time when these guys just sat down and just told us what the vision is for the game, right? Like there is no idea for anyone what like the final game or the final product will look like, or whatever. I don't know, like do you think that it's not funny that throughout the years the fact that these guys even exist kind of got lost in the abyss, and what they do, or whether they are still there, is just kind of irrelevant?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing to bring up. Like, I wonder if people who bought recently have any clue.
About Chris Roberts, like who, like if you have begged
Maybe Chris,
for,
they would know because I think he gets brought up a lot. But like a
yes,
guy
if
like
they
Tony
need
Z,
Spectrum,
who
for sure.
is like basically who's been said to be absolutely monumentally important to the project, they might not have any clue who he is, what he's doing, anything like that, right? And it's I think it's even more interesting the idea of like kind of sitting us down and laying out the entire vision of what game we will be playing and what elements to it that are really, really important to them. So then you can decide whether or not you buy the game. Their best marketing, their best selling feature is that the players sell it to themselves. They just provide an image and a general art style, the way it looks, and then the player makes up their own vision in their head.
I guess so.
We
Yeah,
all
and
did.
it's ridiculous.
If you didn't,
I
I would
have,
be
I
surprised.
100% have.
Like live on Twitch, type a 1 in chat if that's what happened to you, because there's no clear real
Any Korok enjoyers, any expedition
any
goers?
explorers.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Lots of
Any
ones.
pathfinders, any news agents or something with the Reliant on or whatever. I don't know. It's strange. And all right. So right now, Tony, I just saw that right now Tony Z is the guy who makes my like quantum fuel cost either 2 or 3 UAC when I make 90,000 for a single bunker mission. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably the extent to which he has had any impact on Star Citizen.
Well,
A
and
good one, yeah.
it might sound
Thanks, bro.
that like I think that's a problem now. It's like a very common occurrence though with Star Citizen is this is what they do is they test it and it worked and then they just stop. They don't continue to iterate on it and bring it to a level where it actually impacts the player. Is there armor for your FPS character? Yes, so it works. Are there FPS weapons? Can you put attachments on them? Yes. Do they have a significant impact? Are there like Tarkov level of gun customization where you go from a very recoily gun to a laser basically?
Yep.
No, right?
No.
There's there's no progression to even get yourself to that point where those weapons and attachments are
And like the thing that you were talking about before
found.
is that the prices and how the prices should change, right? Okay, so imagine if it was in the game right now. Let's say you had to pay 5 times as much for a red dot site. You still wouldn't care at all. Like it's just so
It'd
inconsequential.
be 500 credits.
Yeah, good one.
You know?
It's exactly it doesn't matter, and same for guns. Like 2,000 or 5,000 AUEC for a gun. Ultimately, it really doesn't matter. The only thing that that you need to spend time and effort on is components to some extent. And if you want to just min max chips that you don't really need to min max, like there is no reason to like swap the power plant in a Korok. Maybe like there is some tiny tangential difference that it's gonna make for the single PvP session you end up running into every like 4 or 5 months. But other than that, there is no reason at all. So it's that even that is just kind of made up. So the only reason is to like buy yourself a bigger ship, and that will take time. So you have to grind the same mission over and over again.
Can
Like
I
that.
pause you
Like
for a sec?
yeah, go ahead.
The I think a lot of people. This was something that I'd never said in the monologue. We talked a lot about it before. is like they're really trying to push this resource management thing for CitizenCon, right? And
Mhm.
I think this is their what was the last thing they showed? They showed the Rastar or whatever. Oh yeah, eventually you'll be able to make your own outpost with this. Yeah, okay, eventually, sure. What I don't know what eventually means anymore because it just never seems to happen with almost
And like we
everything that
don't
they
know what an
do.
outpost is either. Sorry, just
Yeah,
a
or
quick hint.
what?
Like we
Yeah,
don't know. Like
of
what
course.
will it be?
Yeah, or why we use it, or why we want one. Like that's the thing
Yeah.
is what makes a good game is I know exactly why I want it, and I have to choose whether or not I'm going to work to get it. And that's what I think makes a good game is there are clear reasons why I would want this thing, and then I have to decide. And what makes it a sandbox is I go and make the choice of whether or not I want to do it. It's not part of the story. It's not okay. You start out, you're a character, and you go through the story, and eventually you live in this outpost. I choose whether or not I want to do it. That's what makes it a sandbox. But it is very clear why or why not I would want to use that thing. But to get on to the point that I was trying to make, based on what you were saying, is about components. We have the vehicle experience team that's going to share a big breadth of what they've been doing. Hopefully, that talk at CitizenCon will really clarify some of those things. Hopefully. I don't know though.
Maybe.
Right? And that's
I'm not sure. Yes.
and then
Who
when
the
they
fuck?
do talk about them, how much onus and weight can we put into the things that they talk about? Tony Z has been talking for fucking years, man.
Less and less though. But yes.
Yes, but he's only spoken, and none of it has really had an impactful moment for any of us. I guess the dynamic
Yep.
events are impactful. Jumptown is, I think, a very good
More
example
like
of
static events.
yeah. Well,
Sorry.
of course
Sorry.
we can keep making that
Yeah.
joke. I think that meme's
I know.
dead
It's
personally.
still.
It's what they
It
call
is. It
them.
is.
That's what they are. If I'm going to talk about them, we're going to call them dynamic events because that's what they call them. But yeah. So like that's what I'm hoping, like, because components are really, ships are one of the most important things, and upgrading them is a clear path of progression. It's a clear understanding of what we're going to do, right? And then I choose which components I want to use for a given scenario, right? It's very simple. But the vehicle experience team has kind of broken that loop quite a bit. And I hope that gets connected again really soon. Like, if there's a short-term win, I think that's it, personally. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that and maybe like getting items finally for missions or for like resources in a way would be good. Like we were talking about crafting before you kind of shifted over to Tony Z and his quantum system or whatever before the show. So
Mhm.
like whoever was against crafting, I want to ask them. We have these gigantic, empty, barren planets. Maybe a tree here and there. What do we expect, or how do we expect CIG to utilize this giant landmass without crafting or without crafting? And how would we get any other purpose to like discovering and going to different locations? Like let's say current example, microtech, very nice clouds, the river, obviously, lots of trees. Let's say there are like 5 different trees on Microtech, and some other like OrCorp needs trees for some reason because it has none of them on their planet. So you need to cut out like 10 trees, cut down 10 trees. Do you think that like cutting down trees is not like something that should be in the game in this way, or how do we plan to utilize like the big planets? Because my kind of the position I come from is that obviously at some point we will have crafting. Like crafting doesn't need to be Minecraft where you grab an axe and you just dig a kilometer deep hole in the ground. It can be something like collect item 1 and collect item 2, bring them to like either a mission giver or like a blacksmith or something, and he gives you item Z, right? That's already crafting. You grab 2 items and you make a third one. I don't know, like without this, how are you planning to just make this game have any kind of reason or
Purpose, yeah.
like a right to claim at all? Yeah. I don't see the people who are against that. Like, do you just want that like microtypes gives you a mission to cut down 10 trees, or do you not even want the environment around you to be modifiable, even to like that tiny extent at all? I don't understand. I feel like crafting, making item X from item A and B, and then adding item A and B together and making X. I feel like
Yeah, but
this can happen in a lot of
what is item
different ways.
X and why does it matter, right? Like, I keep going back to, like, our conversation went to Eve, and I think it's the perfect example to give, because Eve Online is in a lot of ways has inspired Star Citizen, and I think a lot of people are looking for Star Citizen to, like, take them away from Eve or whatever. But the difference between Eve and Star Citizen is, like, all right, well, these huge corporations that have taken over this part of space or whatever need things to be made to maintain all of that, and there's like there just isn't that in Star Citizen. You have Origin, you have Hurston, you have these companies that just make this stuff already for you. It's a concept that they don't apply to each other. So
Yeah, that's true.
what, even if there is crafting, how will it be as impactful as buying something from one of these companies?
Okay, so for example, just a random example, let's say the XL1 quantum drive, Vaytech or whoever makes that. Vaytech right now is low on microchips, for example. So you have to go, and in order to purchase the XL1 quantum drive from them, you need to have a certain reputation, and you need to have the money to front the other components, and then you yourself have to go and collect like 10 microchips from a cave, a bunker, a dead yeti on Microtech, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? And then that's also, I feel, is like a good solution to this problem, right?
Yeah, but it
And then
doesn't
obviously
work.
that, how come?
Because it's let's use the XL1 drive. I don't know the name of the company, right? But let's say that it's made by
Vaytech, I think it's like WEI.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
like Y Tech or something. Okay, so
yeah, something like that.
let's use a bigger company that for this example, because I think this is where your idea kind of falls apart. Arc Corp makes engines. And let's say we
Yeah.
can upgrade engines on our ships. If I had to go to a cave and collect 5 items in order for ArcCorp to create my engine, how did they become big enough to be ArcCorp, right? It's like all these things are mass produced by companies.
No, they are mass produced this kind of that I didn't mean. Like I specifically went for the XL1 because it's supposed to be like a top of the line, absolutely like highest end. I was talking about like the high end, the very high end components, right? I would say
Yeah.
those specifically. I wouldn't say like a B, C, D tier or grade or whatever. I would go for like the highest of high end components, and maybe those would require that.
Mud Trucka said it in chat. I look at the things that we buy as the platform for us to build upon, because I could totally see your example if we were able to, because we know that this is something they want to do, is subcomponents, right? Is I could see your example of I need to go collect a number of different items to create this subcomponent to enhance the platform that is the XL1.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe that can work too.
Right? And then I can feel like we're crafting something, because some components don't have to necessarily be made by this giant company. It's more of that, like, all right, I took the base stats of the XL1 and I tweak them in a direction that is more useful for the scenario I need it for.
Yeah, so it has like faster spool up time, and then maybe like faster
I would use
deceleration or
shields.
something.
I would use shields or
Okay.
weapons maybe,
Probably
or
better.
any other example than a quantum drive, because I think it does like just one thing, and the amount of scenarios that could come with shields, let's say, it does, it if I put this in it, it'll do better against these plasma or what, I think you can
I see. I
apply
understand.
more
Yes, like
customization to it.
that would be good too. But then that's what I was saying, that crafting is like is the exact opposite of like AUEC gameplay, where you just grind money and then
Yeah.
click buy at a screen or something. I feel like we have so much real estate in this game. Is that the go here, pick this up, and then you will add this item to like something bigger, is kind of like is gonna be necessary for the game to ever succeed in this. If you just want to go down to a planet to mine a couple rocks and then click sell and get AUEC in return, or just want to go down to an underground bunker that is all the same for like every place you go, and then kill 10 guys and get paid AUEC, I feel like that's just cannot be enough. It's the most boring shit in the universe at this point already. And
Yeah. And that's
it
why
has to be
Siege of
more.
Orison, and I know you enjoyed it, right? Like that's
No.
where Siege. Okay, hold. That's I thought you did, but whatever. It's irrelevant if you enjoyed it or not. For me,
Mhm.
Siege was kind of like the cutoff point where I was like, okay, it's time to stop making content that is the same every time we do it. It's like there has to be variety, and the variety comes from I don't know, like I could do the same bunker mission, or I can go to the same moon, but I'm having a hard time articulating this, because most MMOs you do the same thing over and over again.
Yes, because what I think what you are referring to is having so many systems of and different branches of progression that you decide that it is worth it to keep grinding the same mission or same location over and over again, because it adds up to a greater whole which
The
you
end
really
goal
want to
isn't
earn.
just alpha UEC, right? There's
Yes,
multiple
obviously.
things.
It's like items and maybe some unique cosmetic that is like
Yeah.
super rare. Yeah, like I understand, but that's because you have like many other different systems that are at the end are gonna be, I guess, fulfilling enough that you deem it worthy to
Yeah,
keep doing the same thing over and
and
over again.
I think that they've gone decently in a direction where they took sniper rifles and railguns out of the shops, and there's only a couple places you can go to get them. The problem with those things is the level of usefulness of those items is not incredibly high, because
Yep. Like, when do you
all
even use them?
weapons are weapons. They're not very unique, or there's not clear scenarios where a sniper rifle is needed to do this specific, like there are some specific, like Jumptown, some sniper rifles are good, and railguns are decent for Jumptown. Like, yeah, there's times where you would use them, but not enough, and not enough scenarios, or not useful enough where let's use an example of, if you went to the TDD on a planet, but that TDD was actually a marketplace, would they be flooded with these items, and would there be a true and bustling economy around them? I'm
Only if
not
they have
so
enough
sure.
purpose.
Yeah.
Right now, absolutely not. Like, other than Jumptown, which can, if you are not a certain specific type of person, Jumptown can get tiring real quick.
The supply would
But then,
completely
and there is no
overwhelm the
purpose.
demand, because the demand isn't high enough. right?
Exactly.
I think that's what would eventually happen.
I feel like there's just not enough. It sucks to hear it for the 10,000th time, but there is just such little content in the game, and so little number of systems interacting with each other. Is that the just for the sake of owning a railgun for owning a railgun's sake is just it doesn't make sense
I mean,
to
you
me
can
at all, at
find
least.
useful situations for them, right? Like I think if you're rock mining, you should always bring a railgun with you, because how do you defend yourself against the ship attacking you if you're not in your own ship, right? Like you can't even defend yourself. So there's only one way. A railgun gives you a chance. I think you should always bring a railgun with you to Jumptown. Same scenario. Sometimes you're not in the ship, but so you need to have something that can attack another ship. But
That's true. Sorry, but that is true. But
how often?
realistically,
Yeah,
you
how
would not
often
do
does
it
that
still,
happen?
and people wouldn't take the time to do it because the small chance, like the tiny minuscule chance that somebody is it just happens to be a pirate who is trying to just hijack ore from a rock or something, or trying to just hunt down pirates, is just so minuscule that
Because
I feel like
NPCs
the
don't do
effort
it.
is just not worth it. Yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't understand why CIG, now that we have atmospheric flight, why don't random enemy NPCs spawn around like
Reeser, you're
Quantinium
still playing
locations?
the patch where they added atmospheric flight. You're still playing the same
Yeah,
patch.
because yeah, that's
That's why
true.
it
I mean,
hasn't
we are.
progressed,
Yes.
right? Like we are still playing the
Fair
same.
enough. Fair
It
enough.
doesn't feel like we are because it's been so much fucking time, but you're actually playing the same patch where they added this. They have not progressed
Fair enough.
anything because they haven't. Like you're playing the same patch. As it's crazy to think about that though, right? It's
Yeah,
insane.
like I don't know. It's just really strange and yeah, like there is no reason to kind of that inventory is a perfect example, I feel,
Oh,
because
yeah.
inventory was such a in terms of like how the game plays itself, it's such a fundamental change, right? Like it's such a fundamentally important and grand new feature that that you would expect the entire game to change based on that, and I feel it really hasn't, because if you are not concerned about rare items, which there is no reason other than to uh, just kind of be slightly excited, because you're gonna at some point you will lose it to a bug, to a crash, to waking up only in your undersuit or something.
Hmm.
Like you can't revalue unique looking cosmetic items or anything. Like if you are someone who just doesn't care about this, there is no real tangible difference between the local and the global inventory system, because you are still the only difference is, like, for example, when you go down to bunkers, you have to loot and double click the magazine from a dead person instead of opening the mobi glass and just equipping the new mag from your global inventory. It's really it's baffling how little change this gigantic and fundamental new feature added to the game. Like I think you couldn't even pull it off worse if you wanted to try. And like that, it's insane. Like
Yep.
again, it's ridiculous how tiny or how little these huge changes uh, affect the game, and like that's why I'm just so skeptical with like PS, and on top of all of this, uh, Jared has been on damage control for the last couple months, just saying that PS is not going to change much, or it's just a backend. Don't expect much. Expect a good old 3 months long PTU playtesting session. So if we can even expect less, because they are already just cushioning the fall, so to say. I don't know. It's really strange, and it comes back to, like, I feel like obviously 90% of the studio is working on Squadron, and we are just really just putting in basic shit and just calling it there, moving on to the next, and just building like
I feel like we're just
basic
pay
tech.
pigs at this point. You and
Yeah,
I may not be, but
No, I'm not. But yes, it's. I feel like these just tiny changes, maybe a little bit of addition to the game that's in terms of like tech or like background stuff, and then stuff like refuel that is probably required for Squadron. We get the feature, no context, no purpose, no missions, no nothing. And not that. What was before that? The push and pull with the trolleys or the hospital thingy, the hospital carts where you
How
can
many
move
times have
someone
you
while he's
used
riding them.
that?
Never. I don't even know if they work. Like do the elevators in hangars work where you are supposed to like take someone down there
Oh
and
no.
just that elevator goes somewhere where you can heal them? Yeah, they don't work. Okay. I didn't know, never tried. And trust me, I am the one who always plays with other people. Like if somebody, I feel like I should have been the one to need it at some point, but never. It's just really just basic systems, pump them in, get Squadron out. I don't know, it's just strange and very boring.
Yeah.
And
It's
like the other thing is like then we get the SCLs, and like I feel like something like SCL has to be cancelled at this point. For the last year, 80% of SCLs have been just absolute phoned in dog shit content, right? Like it why are we
every
here?
time I say
Why
that
is this
though, every time I say that, people are like, I enjoy them.
a good one? Yeah, that's the
then you
most
go like,
$20.
I can't argue this because if people enjoy it, then they're going to do it.
Yeah,
But like,
I am
hold on.
sure the guys who are paying $20 a month for SCL are thoroughly enjoying it.
Let me look
I don't know what to
back.
tell them.
Star Citizen Live. When was the last good one? All vehicle Q&A maybe is a decent one. 50K views. The out of character, 23K views. Narrative, 24K views. Live game dev, 21K views. Another game dev, 22K views. Meanwhile, Inside Star Citizen, 100,000 views. Sprint Showdown, 100,000 views. Right?
I feel like
That has to tell you something.
People watch it anticipating a drop of information, a drop of content. It's just like the development of Star Citizen itself. No man on this planet can convince me that something like the previous SCL couldn't have been postponed or cancelled or something. Listen, if there are these people who like watching print dry, then Star Citizen is for them. And Jared, keep on keeping on 1100 videos, SCLs every Friday, randomly trying to force like a character artist to make environmental design. It's very interesting. Absolutely, it's just if these people are out here and they are all just circle jerking around Star Citizen, then we will never have a place in this game and we will never enjoy it, because if these guys are gonna take the foreground, then there is never gonna be content that we are interested in, Mike, I feel, and that's a very disappointing.
There's definitely content that I get interested in. It's usually when they talk about the game's design, but we just don't get that often. But you can't get that every week either.
Sure, I guess, yeah.
Right?
Then don't make it every week, but whatever. Yeah, it's just very
Again,
very
just because you don't like it doesn't
fascinating.
mean they shouldn't make it. I'm sorry. You and I like the same things, and it is not their fault or their problem that necessarily that we don't like that kind of content. Other people do. They're making it for other people. They're not making it for you. You don't have to watch it. And neither do I. And I don't think that we can argue against that. I'm sorry. That's a situation where there should be more talk about game design. How has there not been a update to, hey, what are we doing with the cargo refactor, right? Like all sorts of things of the current, what's coming soon, how is it going to impact the player? The SCLs being dog shit, the ISCs being dog shit are a direct representation of Squadron 42 being a priority, Citizen Con being a priority, and us not being like the game not being a priority. It's just a representation of that. That's all. And they are doing what. And I'm not trying to defend these guys because I don't think it's good either. But at the same time, I don't think saying then just don't make it because I don't like it is. I think that's really like egotistical, toxic. I don't know if like what the right word is, but it's a bad take.
That's fine. It's just dog shit. Oh yeah, for sure. Popov, I guess, is just really. But then you cannot be angry at me for drawing the conclusion that they are just phoning it in hard and
no, of course not. They're absolutely phoning
hardcore.
it in and stall. This is 100% stalling. Like I just said it. You know, it's a representation of where they are with the current game. That it's not a priority. They're 100% stalling, right?
Yep, I guess. All right, Mike.
I just don't agree with the like. Just don't make it. You know, that's all. That comment.
It's just unreal to me, the production quality and how trash it is for what is supposed to be like this next level game studio. That's it. That's where I would end my commentary on the video content.
But did you see Jared's background? Looks pretty sick.
I can't recall, but for sure. Listen, Mike, probably. They
right,
genuinely have no idea.
We'll talk to you.
Last words. Hold on. Where was my...
Oh, he's got notes.
My notes.
He has notes.
Yeah, dude. Make sure you have to anticipate an incredible 500 million letter from Chris himself, and I guess get ready for the anniversary. What is it? CitizenCon to pop off.
Yes, that's very exciting.
Fuck it. There's actually no more notes I had. All right, Mike.
Bye.
Free 500 million pistol. Yep. Take care.
Yes. Can't wait. Yeah, wonder what we're going to get for 500 million. 5-Stripe Gunner, thank you for waiting. That was a long one, but here you are.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. It is not the afternoon anywhere in the U.S.
You're right. I just feel like I've been up for so long that it feels like the afternoon.
The earliest it is in the United States, or the latest it is in the United States, is 10 a.m. By the way, anybody watching right now.
Dude, I'm on this work from home thing. I don't have a sleep schedule. I rarely open my blinds.
So, what do you want to talk about today? Since we're just open,
I kind of had some thoughts about what you were talking about. What is fun in this game? You talk a lot about like needing a reason to do something, and that's really valid. There's a lack of a reason to do anything in this game, but as I look to other games that I play that are not like Star Citizen, and what makes them fun, it's difficulty. Right? It's not necessarily a reason. And the game that I play second most instead of Star Citizen is Rocket League, and now that is a game that has almost no reason to continue to play it, and I still do the same 5-minute loop over and over and over and over again. I have 3,000 hours in Rocket League. And so what has made me continue to do it, it's that I get a little bit better every single time.
Do you PvP in Star Citizen?
Sometimes, not much.
How do you think that would apply to this game?
Why is PvP the only thing that you think would be difficult in this game?
It's not. It's the only comparison I can make to Rocket League, at the current moment. It's the only example that is synonymous with Rocket League right now. It's the only thing that you can do the same thing over and over again and get better at.
Well, I mean, you can do the bunkers over and over again, get better at them. They're not very difficult, right?
That's
you can
the
master
most
a bunker
insane thing I've ever heard in my life. The NPCs just stand there and don't do anything. There's no getting better at that.
You're not getting better at it, right? But it's very low level. There's a very low skill ceiling to the bunkers. You're correct. You can go mine the same Quantanium rock. Every rock that you mine is exactly the same. Just have a little different stat, but it's exactly the same, right?
It's just a randomized it shoots up, it goes down. It's
Now, I'm not complimenting Star Citizen when I say this, right?
Yeah.
Right? But it doesn't have to just be a reason to do something. But if there is a chance to get better, I'm much more likely to continue to do the loop if I can get better at it each time.
How I don't play Rocket League. How do you know if you got better in Rocket League?
Outside of skill-based matchmaking and ranks, because I think that's a little bit
Ranks.
low-hanging fruit, right? Rocket League is it's a very mechanical game, and you sort of have different types of, I'll call them trick shots to a layperson. There's sort of these mechanics you can do that are recognizable to other high-level players, whereas a layperson wouldn't recognize that, like, oh wow, you just did a musty flick right there. You did wave dashes on the wall or these other things where I myself might lose the game, but I feel an accomplishment because I pulled off a shot that I've been trying to pull off for 2 or 3 months.
That's fair. But
right.
I am not in any way putting down what inspires you to play games, but don't you think it is somewhat inspired by possibly ranking up as well? Like when you rise up in rank, it is a good feeling. It is an achievement.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah, personally, I've stopped caring about the rank because I've plateaued. I've
it's
hit
just
the
about
rank
doing cool stuff in the getting better, make trick shots or whatever.
And that might be as I've just turning into more and more of an adult every day. When I was very young, playing a video game, it was like, oh, that's such a cool setting. The story is cool, or the lightsaber that I'm swinging is really neat. I can play as Darth Vader in this Star Wars game or something. That used to be fun. It's no longer fun anymore. I'm just recognizing, oh, it's a video game with a skin. I can be Darth Vader. What's difficult about it? What am I accomplishing? What do I feel proud of when I'm done playing that game? But I continue to play Rocket League because I can continue to get better at it, right? And there's not a reason for me to want to get better at Rocket League. I'm never going to be a pro. I'm never going to stream Rocket League to a bunch of people that compliment me or anything. But the fact that I can continue to get better at it because it's difficult. And Star Citizen is lacking difficulty. Not just reason, it's lacking difficulty.
Yeah. And I think like to kind of just apply what you're saying to what I'm saying is they actually, I think, are very similar, because how do you determine whether or not you improved or not? There's a ranking system in that game. There is a thing to chase, even though you may not be chasing it necessarily. It's the same concept. There is something that informs your progression and the possible desire to get better. Is I just gained a rank. It's like getting an A on a test versus a B versus a C. It's improving, right?
Yeah, there's no ranks in Star Citizen, as we all know, but
of course,
there are things about the game, even though the game design doesn't have it built in. The bugs, the 30Ks, the weird ways you have to use elevators. Some people's ship turrets don't work. So you get this glitch where the tractor beam keeps snapping up into your hand. You can't set it down. All of these things, they're not part of what I think the game designers want us to deal with, but they do offer obstacles, speed bumps, and things that you have to get over and learn how to fix in order to have a successful evening in the game.
Yeah.
And it's sad because there's not many other things to do, but that's sort of why I keep opening Star Citizen, is because I opened it up to do a mission. These bugs hit. This glitch hits. This weird thing. My friend gets sucked through the planet. Got to start over again. I'm going to open it up the next day, thinking, okay, we failed yesterday. Maybe it was our fault. Maybe it was the game's fault. I want to try again today, right? Because it was difficult to do.
How long can you do that
all of these other reasons? Not very long. You're correct, but
like I'm just like, the title is I just don't know. Like I'm at the point where I that brings zero joy to me.
Yeah. So the reason that
maybe I won't fucking deal with a shitty bug and ruin my day today, is not exactly an inspiring desire to play a game. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, and I'm about out of that, and we're kind of tangential of the point that I was saying of making it difficult is the reason that I want to play Star Citizen. Is that, and this is some hopium, but like Pyro needs to make the game more difficult, not necessarily more fun or to have reasons. If you want to go exist in Pyro, all of these things that are in Stanton, we live in Walmart right now. There's
Provides you a
everything.
challenge, yeah.
Yeah, there's everything you can get, but if you want to push yourself and make it more difficult, go exist in Pyro where you can't just go buy a double dog, where you can't buy a pip soda, you can't do this stuff. And I want things, you mentioned it earlier. I want, if my ship blows up, I want to lose the components.
Yeah.
If I'm wearing my skin, even if I subscribed for it and my ship blows up and I claim it, it better not have that same skin on it, right? I want there to be like a difficulty to going and doing something. And if I want to do it with my cool skin, that's a risk that I need to do. If I want to,
that's the only thing I
lose my
disagree
ship
with,
and all
because
of my
it's fucking
components.
paint. I think it should just stay. Like, you should just be able to repaint it, but that's me.
well,
But
then-
if you have like a specific special thing, like the subscriber Zeus suit, no,
Yeah.
you should never get that shit back. But a paint skin is like this
Yeah.
weird scenario. Like, why is a paint skin a physical paint can on your ship? Like, that's not how it works, dude. It's fucking paint. It,
well,
like,
what is a claim? I mean, it's an insurance claim. You're not going to get the same car with the same dent on it when you
but-
get an insurance checker.
But you do know the hex code of the paint to remake it, right? Like, you go to Walmart and you give them the little
Fair.
card, and they remake the fucking paint that you just had on your thing before,
Yeah.
and you get it repainted. Maybe it's like
Well,
there's
then
a
go
cost
do that,
to it.
then, right?
Yeah,
but my
maybe
claim
there's a
ship
cost
shouldn't
to
have
it. Yeah, agreed.
Right.
Your claim ship should come plain, but you should have the easeability to it. But that is like totally, again, we're tangential to the point. I totally agree with Pyro doing and being that challenge, and not just a PvP challenge, but just general. It's harder to live here.
If we want to go do a ship meet in Pyro, I expect a third of the group to end up not making it because they didn't bring food, or they dehydrated, or they got interdicted and
Can you
lost their
choose
battle.
anything but other than a ship meet? There's got to be something to do in this game other than meet up with ships.
I'm just trying to use the things that have been discussed. I know.
My
org doesn't do ship meets.
Good. Okay. All right. I was like, come on, man. No way. Are we talking about ship meetups? Come on.
But just even something that requires what you think would be little skill to do a ship meetup, fly here and meet. It should be difficult.
Yeah.
Because that's what drives accomplishment, and that's what makes you feel good. Like, wow, I actually I did it today. Right. I got through. Fuck the bugs. None of that hit me today, or at least if they did hit me, I've got the knowledge, the skill, the game experience, and sort of the inside knowledge to be able to deal with it.
What do you? I saw this in chat, and I'll kind of take their question and mutate it a little bit. How do you feel about the current AI in the game and the fact that it does not provide any challenge at all? You could do very high level bounties in an Aurora with size 1 weapons. I was in a C8X doing deliveries, and there just happened to be somebody spawned a bounty there, and it was a medium level to high level bounty. And I had this.
It just accentuates how low the skill level is.
Yeah,
how low the skill ceiling is, because a new player with very little skill in the game, as low as the ceiling is, would not be able to take an Aurora and do an HRT or a VHRT.
Yeah.
Right. But as you get better, go try to go give a new player a ship and take them on a VHRT, they're going to die. Right. And just because the skill ceiling is low doesn't mean that is any less difficult.
Yeah. It's just that scenario should be like playing I don't know, like a Souls game with
no armor, or melee
with no armor,
right?
Like these really challenge type things.
It's that's almost like a Nuzlocke, right?
Yeah, almost everybody can do. Anybody who you're right. If you take a new player, they won't be able to do it. But even a low skill veteran would be able to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but how does that get fixed, right? I don't think that they care that the AI sucks in Star Citizen.
They can't care, man, because they can't do anything about it. Every day, every month, the biggest, most work and most
AI is the first on that list every
it's the
week.
First on the list because it's alphabetical, but it's also the most robust. AI and what else? Graphics, VFX, and network. Those are the most robust every month.
They're only developing for Squadron right now. Star Citizen is the marketing campaign for Squadron 42. That's I think I was talking to somebody in the chat about that. Like,
we know that. Yeah, it's very clear.
Yeah, everything here is just bare minimum, a little bit of a proof of concept that they can make a mission where you pick up the mission, you go to a spot, they pay you out. That's all they care about the bunker missions right now. They're not going to update them. It's just a little bit of a proof of concept for them. They don't care that the AI sucks.
My monologue at the beginning is I feel it's time to proof of concept the day in and day out a little bit more, and a little bit less of we can do a mission that can do this type of stuff.
But I mean, reading that, following this game every single day is like watching like a pot boil. The longer you sit there and just stare at it, the longer it feels like it takes, because it's just such a slow burn. You haven't talked about it. I can tell you're getting very frustrated with the game. It's a grind to be a content creator for this, because it is so frustrating, and I can relate, because I'm trying to follow the game as much as you're sharing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to stop playing Star Citizen, but I almost want to stop following SCL, stop following ISE. I'm going to stop reading the weekly reports, because it's full of either carrots or lies, right? And that's what's driving a lot of the angst towards things whenever it happens to you in game, because you're like, didn't they say they fixed that bug and I'm still getting it? Where if I'd had never heard that they'd said they'd fixed that bug, it wouldn't have gone through my head twice. It's like, oh yeah, the elevator sucked. I shouldn't have stood so close to it.
Yeah.
We all love this game, dude. We're all sitting here so riled up because we enjoy the game.
100%.
I think saying you're going to quit the game's nuclear. It's a bit reactionary, knee-jerky.
I never did say that, though.
Yeah, but it's been a topic, right? Chat's
telling me to
about it.
Yeah. I think I probably would if we continue down the same path that we're on post server meshing.
Yeah.
Because it's the one thing that they said. Mission team guys said it. Other people said it, that like once we have that stuff in, we should be able to start doing more. Okay, well, if they don't start doing more, then I'm probably... everyone has a limit. I don't know where mine is yet, but I think I'm quickly approaching it.
Yeah. I had some things about Siege of Orison.
Okay.
I've done it. I've tried to do it about 6 or 7 times. I think I've completed it 3 times. It's way too long, dude. It's like... Yeah.
It's a big time commitment.
It takes way too long, and there's people that are speed running ahead of you, to where you can't get paid until you clean up the other 2 platforms before the people that have speed run it to admin go do whatever they do, and that really soils it for a lot of people. And the problem is that you have to go to all these multiple platforms. I don't think it should be instanced every time one of those shuttles goes over there, but I should be able to get on a shuttle with my friend group and go to the one platform, and that's our mission, is to clear that platform, clear the iffy, and then fly back. That should be what I've done. Go with my friends, and other people can't speed run and go to another platform ahead of you. It doesn't take 4 hours, and I can go back and get on another shuttle that'll take me to one of the other 6 or 7 platforms they have out there.
I'll just say this to that. I don't know whether I agree or disagree about that solution, but there are a few game devs that still hang around in Discord and stuff like that, and this was a while ago, but they were discussing feedback, and we made an ATC a long time ago on that topic of how to give good feedback, and your example is exactly what they called terrible feedback, and here's why.
And it's too long, or that I should only go to one platform?
It's too long is perfect. I should only go to one platform is exactly what they don't want to hear. They don't need you to tell them how to do their job. They just need you to tell them what you don't like and what you do like. And then they can...
Having to go to 3 platforms is what I don't like. That's what makes it take so long.
Yeah.
Right?
All they need to know is that it's too much of a time commitment. I'm searching around doing nothing for half the time. It can get really boring, right? Like you and I have the exact same feeling about it. Is like I feel like I'm searching around and I'm just coming across, like I might be going around in circles a little bit. I'm coming across the same area and then more of these guys spawn in out of a spawn closet and I'm just shooting the same AI over and over again.
You're just standing there. You're lost. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The scale of the area is awesome. A little too big probably for me, for my liking.
Each one of those platforms is larger than all of Orison put together.
Really? Wow.
I think so. I mean,
like
how many buildings are at Orison? There's the hospital, the
walkable space. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. The walkable space is bigger than anywhere you can walk around in Orison. It's
yeah. For me, it was like the nail in the coffin of like, okay, I think I'm done with these events. There's no like there's no base in the events. There's no foundation to have them. So like the big thing that I don't like about Siege is when I've played other events and MMOs, they get in the way of normal day-to-day activity, let's say. So everyone always makes fun, but like, the big MMO that I played for a very long time was Ultima Online. And one of the first patches that I came into was where a bunch of orcs took over a city in the game. And that's basically what Siege of Orison is, right? There are a bunch of orcs that took over Orison, but they didn't take over Orison proper like they did in this MMO that I played. They took over a random location that none of us have any basis in caring about. I don't give a shit about this platform. I don't have anything there. There's nothing I use that platform for. Therefore, why do I care whether or not the Ninetales are taking over this silly platform on Orison? And this is the biggest problem with Star Citizen, is it looks so fucking cool, but they can't make a game in it because we can't be in the cool looking place and the useful place and the place where we're all landing our spaceships in at one time because performance.
Yeah. I mean,
well,
if Ninetales lockdown was going on
before everything, we're never going to have a game.
Yeah. There needs to be something that I can't do that I would normally be doing in the game because Ninetales have taken over Orison.
Yeah, chat. Right, somebody in chat said nothing happens if you fail the mission. That's why none of these missions work for me. Nothing happens if Ninetales lockdown goes on forever. Nothing happens because it just ends at some point. After a couple, it doesn't matter. And that it's the same theme of everything that I'm here talking about is what the fuck is Tony Z doing if nothing that he's done matters? Right? And that's the part that I'm just like, what is this? What is this game going to end up being? Because if this is a look into it, I don't like what I'm looking at.
Well, there's just so many things that we can theory craft and say it's just check this box on change the way that we lose components, or that it make it more difficult. That stuff is so easy.
It'll never solve the problem though. Like I remember thinking, I love just allow me to loot players, but now I find myself going, well, none of the loot matters. Make the loot matter. When they make the loot matter, what am I going to say next?
Yeah, well, scarcity needs to drive all this, right? If you lose your components, and Ninetales have had Orison for 2 weeks, you can't go to Orison and buy an XL1, right?
Exactly.
But until we lose components, when our ship blows up, that doesn't matter. And that's not even a thing in the game. It's pure. We're just making it up right now, right? None of that's been said or even. Yeah. But there's no scarcity. You're right. But just something needs to be there to make this game more difficult.
Congratulations, Tony Z. Congratulations, Mission Team. You made Siege of Orison, but you didn't make anything if we fail and there isn't a consequence for it. Like you could totally just make Crusader Industry ships pricing go way up. Whatever components that you have selling there. Like I saw this in chat. If you fail, then the price goes up 50%. And that can be global. And then you have the like kind of the reason to play the Ninetales side and like screw people over or whatever. Because maybe you had purchased a bunch of those and then you want to sell them, you know, and like that's where things start to happen. And oh my God, now it actually sounds like a fucking sandbox by changing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I don't think that's their motivation. They're only trying to prove a concept that they can implement this aspect. They don't care if it's a gameplay right now. They're hiding behind it's an alpha, and you know, like they just want to say, okay, we can do that. We can spawn platforms at Orison. We can make people pop in there. We can set up an objective, and we can pay you out when you're done. And that's all they're practicing doing. That's why the bunker missions have not had love in forever. That's why Area 18 is as boring as it is. Great, we got a citywide planet. I mean, a planet-wide city. It's the proof of concept, and move on to the next box. What are they trying to do? Okay, put PES in now. They're never going to go back and retouch this stuff until beta.
Yep. Nail on the head, man. But the color list is growing, guys. Towards the end of it, I doubt I'm going to get to you, just so you know. But Stripe, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No.
Okay.
Appreciate the time as always. Love
Dude,
the content.
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. That was fun.
Yeah, see you, man.
Bye-bye. All right, our next caller is Scuba Steve. What's up, dude?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. I think I got to turn you up a little bit. I'll turn you up. Don't worry about.
All right.
All right, that should be good.
All right, how am I coming in now?
Pretty good. Yeah, so what do you want to talk about today, since we're pretty open on the topic?
Well, I know as it is when you're towards the end of the line, y'all have already discussed quite a bit of what I was thinking, but I think the main thing for me is there needs to be an entertainment factor of some kind. So to give you an example, the other game that I play is Star Trek Online. Okay. And every time there is a drop, every couple of months they drop a new single player mission, a new story arc, or a new mission you can do with your group. And it's worth playing. It's worth going through it. There's some entertainment value other than, flying around, mining a rock, coming back, just kind of rinse, repeat. There's some content to explore. And I think that's what this game desperately needs right now. To go back to an example, you've been around for a while. You remember kind of like that Miles Eckhart mission.
Oh, mission givers are such an opportunity lost, right?
Yeah, I agree. Like
storytelling.
Lore. That's what we need. That's what we need. Like you could tie all the aspects of the game together. But when they first introduced Eckhart, you did hey man, I need you to go get this item. You fly around, shoot a bunch of people, go get said item. You come back, and then he stabs you in the back. And that was it was a good little story arc. I'm like, that is I think what we need, other than player generated hanging out and RP type content. That's what we need in this game. Like, and it doesn't have to be amazing. It can be one or two. And at the end of the mission,
be careful though with saying that's what we need. That's what you need.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
that's what you need.
That's
I would
what
like
I
it
need.
too, but I would prioritize certain things above those, but those would be pretty high on my priority list. Yeah, because I think like lore and certain characters and things like that in games connect you to the game a lot. So I think it's really important. But I wouldn't put, because I get in trouble for this all the time when I say, who cares about that? And I'll also say nobody cares about that, when I actually just mean I don't care about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I can see the point, and thank you for correcting me there.
You're welcome. I could hear the people clacking their keyboards.
Yeah, I agree. So I definitely think that's what I need. But even if it was just maybe they drop one in per patch, or there's some output. You get some nice component, whatever you need it for, you all have already discussed it, but maybe even just something silly like, here's a paint job for your ship that nobody else has unless you do this. So something along those lines, perhaps.
I mean, the amount of voiceover that Anna Dimitri has done for these dynamic events, you could have taken that and done some real like storytelling in the game of and like gone down a mission chain. But again, like how repeatable is that stuff? So it's a priority it's kind of tough. I don't know, maybe like what do you think about that? Is that content truly repeatable though? And in a game that's taking as long as it is, should we prioritize the less repeatable content over more repeatable content, right?
I think it has to be a balance, because
Sure.
Do you want more repeatable content that, just like the bunker missions, that's, repeatable content, but it gets boring after a while, versus something that, wows you once in a while, and maybe that encourages you to bring other people in.
Yeah.
Or kind of, and not, I guess it also, it could be used as marketing for the squadron, so to speak. These are the possibilities that you may encounter in squadron, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, because I think it's so important to games like this, but I always just question if like this narrative mission they're talking about, right? Sounds a lot like a mission giver type mission, and how replayable will it be? Or am I going to do what was it, Kovalex over and over again? Like, oh man,
That one, yeah. I don't even know if too many people know.
I wonder what happened here.
Yeah, that did get a little bit old, but I know that was probably the first one that was semi like that. It wasn't mission giver type, but it was close.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like,
it was telling a story.
Yeah, maybe even like the old Bannister missions, and put those back in, dust off the mothballs on those, something, at least that was a decent chain that you could do over, like.
And at the end, there was a surprise. Like, you fought a Vandal at the end. Spoilers, sorry, guys. I mean, it's 20 years old. But, yeah, like, you did a bunch of missions that eventually led to you fighting a Vandal, which was like, whoa. That was kind of a thing, I guess. That was cool.
Yeah, that may be like, oh, God, what's the mission? The Eckhart Security Ops where the Idris comes at the end. Maybe something like that, just a little bit more. A little bit more spice, because I'll say the problem that I face right now is when another game drops some new content, like Stowe drops some new content, I'm like, gee, do I want to press go live with Stowe, or do I want to press go live with Star Citizen when I know there's something more to do in Stowe at this moment? And it interests me. Playing a complete game is very appealing right now, versus SC just feels like, it looks nice. It's easy to put down and pick up, but it just feels like.
Well, I mean, from a content creator perspective, is a totally different scenario.
Yeah, agreed. And
most people won't resonate with those feelings. I tend to not try to complain or talk about it from a content perspective much. I might do it at the very beginning of my stream. So if you guys ever watch those, I will talk about the content creation perspective. And the one thing I notice is 99% of people in chat have no understanding of what I'm talking about, and have not even the slightest idea of what good content is, or what a good topic for a show like this is, or whatever, right? It's just they consume it and they enjoy it, but they don't think about it in that way. If I was in your situation, I would always go live with Star Citizen, because it's more interesting conversation. I guess it's a more interesting of a topic than Star Trek Online would be, which I don't know how long that game has been out. How much can I talk about that? How much can I discuss that? I don't know anything about it, so obviously none. But what would be the better stream content? Probably Star Citizen, for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it just is. Than a game that I actually enjoy. So you're not making a what do I want to go live with button. You're what do I want to play games with tonight? I just happen to go live as well, is what it sounds like to me, right?
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. Like I have to enjoy what I'm doing.
See, I don't,
Um,
because I have to enjoy the stream. So the game isn't as important to me personally, because what I think I enjoy is the stream, but I'm absolutely coming more to your camp of like, I just want to play story. I want to get back to the games that I loved. I loved playing story games, and I loved going through every aspect of it, every dialogue option, all of that stuff. I want to do that again. I miss that, and the stream takes that away from me. I don't want to let it do it anymore. I don't want that to happen anymore.
yeah, I think you've got to be in a good place, and at the same time, I understand the game brings certain crowd, brings people in, or it may turn people away. If they want pure Star Citizen, then of course they may not come in that day. But
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a balance. But obviously, you have to enjoy what you're doing. Like in the stream, obviously, if people come in, then and you've got a very large community. I'm assuming they would probably follow you in if you
They do
played something else.
sometimes. But if you're I guess for me is the style of stream is very different when I'm playing a game I enjoy.
Yeah, you might be a bit more focused on the game versus the chat, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that's completely. It's very easy to get sucked in when you're playing the game, and it's very easy to get blinders on and not look over.
Yeah.
So I can understand that perspective.
Yeah, and that's why Star Citizen is an easy game, because it doesn't draw you in. It doesn't,
well, and that's part of the problem, isn't it?
And that's the problem. Yeah, like I actually wonder what the level, because you know what I think is the most dog shit content in the Star Citizen space? PvP. There's only a few people who do it well, because there's only a few people who are able to continue the conversation and remain entertaining while playing something that's a little bit more intense. But like mining, cargo hauling, all those things, you just hang out, be a streamer more than be a gamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. When I play SC, it's more akin to me. Let's see, how do I phrase it? Oh yeah, so it's kind of like going to a bar, sitting up at the bar, and then shooting the shit with people. That's more SC
Same.
than if you're playing Stowe or Mass Effect and you're like really focused on that. Yeah, it doesn't feel the same. I agree with you wholeheartedly there.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's a good stream game, but it's not a good game just yet. And we'll see what it eventually ends up becoming, I should say.
Yeah, agreed. And as for Star Citizen itself as a whole, I definitely think if there is a vision, it has not been articulated very well, or the community content, the video drops, they're not charting a course of what things could be. When I look at the Citizen Con schedule, I'm just like, meh. As it stands right now, I don't feel, what is the reason for me to want to tune into this? And I don't, back in the day, I know you were there, the prior Citizen Cons, there was excitement around things like, man, I want to watch this live. I don't want to miss out. With this new format and the agenda that's been listed, I don't feel that. I'm like, yeah, I could probably just watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, 100%.
And come back and see. It's not worth disrupting my schedule to watch this material.
Last year, I didn't even go. I just came back the next day and watched it all.
Yeah,
I didn't even watch it live. I didn't care. This year, I'm on the fence still.
Yeah, I know, and I know you mentioned this. Some of the content that's listed up, it's like, yeah, we talked about it last year. So what?
And the things that they are going to talk about based on previous history, why should I care if you're not going to deliver it in 365 days time? Like, if we're back here next year and we're not delivering on the content from CitizenCon, why the fuck are you talking about it in the first place? It's a very odd concept to me that you can talk that far out about something and share it like it's a reality when you have absolutely no intentions of delivering it in an entire year. I know game development's difficult, but you're using that to to excite me for something that I shouldn't be excited about because I'm not going to get to use it.
Yeah, it definitely goes back to like I said earlier, the Eckhart missions. You know, obviously that was on the rails, and it was done. But man, I would have really liked to have seen something like that in the game. It's the same kind of thing, and it feels like the cadence of patches has, you know, this year has been really slow. The stuff that's been introduced, honestly, inventory feels more like a hindrance to me than something that really added something to the game. It's like, oh, okay, if I die, I'm going to lose all my stuff, you know, and then you die to some random bug. I'm like, yeah, it just feels frustrating. And going back to, you know, when 2.6 was around, I think there was a lot of excitement. 3, there was a bit of hype because, oh, yay, planets. But what do we do on these planets? And it just feels like we've kind of stalled out since then. And maybe PES and maybe server meshing will allow a quicker cadence, or maybe they've got some stuff baked up that can be dropped in.
I think you have a very good canvas to put a game on. It's just they have to start doing it. And I think it starts with like, well, part of making the canvas is like the framing of it would be persistence, right? That's one thing. Like items have to persist. But then after that, it's time to start moving.
Yeah, the rubber's got to start hitting the road. Once these, and I think you've articulated this before, but once PES is in, once server meshing in, there is no underlying back end. At least, you know, I don't know what goes into this stuff, but so layman's perspective. But yeah, what other blockers are there to dropping in content more frequently at that point? Once these underlying technologies are in place, working, tested, they've got to produce something meaningful that we can all experience in this times. You know, Squadron or not, they really have to do it. They really got to do it.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if they don't, it's like one of these things. Like it's such a weird phenomenon. Everything seems to be fine from their eyes because people just keep buying the game, and they totally think everything's okay because everybody sees the game in this really short time frame. Oh, I saw this trailer. Oh, I saw this morphologist video. Damn, I'm gonna buy the game. Oh, well, and Aurora's not good enough. I'm gonna buy Cutlass. Oh, well, Cutlass, and then I'm gonna buy this and this and this, and then you have to come to the realization at some point that it's like, whoa, shit, what is this? Like, this isn't that good. And then they just stop playing. And like the cycle keeps continuing. And I feel like they think that they're doing just fine when in reality, I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case. And I wonder if they're looking at it and going, the people like Mike are the vocal minority. But what if I'm the vocal minority, but most people just don't give a shit anymore because they're the majority? The majority of people aren't playing the game. So.
And I think that comes down to perhaps now there are two distinct groups. There are people who have backed the game when it was a Kickstarter or an initial concept, and obviously their experience is much different than someone who saw a trailer a year or two ago and started playing then. Perhaps the everything is fine. Maybe perhaps there's more of the latter than there is the former now. Maybe that's weighing on their opinion of the overall situation. Obviously, the balance sheet is doing well.
Yeah.
But
that's not the end all be all.
No, not at all. No.
Sure seems like it for them though, sadly.
Yeah, I know they're a company. They've got to bring money in and they got to keep going. I get that, but I definitely think the weekly content on the shows needs to focus more on, you know, the game. Like I know you've said this too. Like the game, what will the game be like versus the game's development
they
cycle?
can if they're not working on it.
Yeah, which right, and that does lead to Squadron. Obviously, Squadron, they've got to start putting out more meaningful content around it. Like where is it and how far along they are. just, I'm not even saying spoil stuff. Just say something like, guys, we're probably about 80% done. Just something like that. Just, not a hour vid on a space station, but just even if it's like a 5-minute blurb, yeah, we think we're this far away. I'm like, okay, great, thanks for the update. And then that kind of at least gives you somewhat of an inclination of, okay, Squadron, if you enjoy that if you're going to enjoy that, which we talked about it before, I will. But then at the same time, it says, okay, well, perhaps resources will shift back to the PU once it hits 90% completion. They don't need as much on Squadron to close it out. Once they get a bit further along, maybe they can shift some more resources back to the PU.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of... I'm in my waiting mode. I think I'll get invigorated a little bit because it sounds like they're going to talk about a lot of design at SitCon, so that's kind of like what we're looking for. And I just hope that design informs near future gameplay, not God knows when, which is what the last few Citizens Cons have been. But I'm not holding my breath. I'll get a little jolt, little boost, and we'll see how long that lasts. That's where I'm at right now. And then without sounding patient, I'm patiently waiting for meshing, like PES and the actual matchmaking part, meshing, and then see what they do after. It's just, there's things I feel like you could do to keep the game interesting in the meantime, and things that should have been done
quite some time ago.
Yeah, quite some time ago to make it a bit more fun, and they made some choices. I thought the dynamic missions were a noble choice. It just, I don't know if they worked out in the way that we all would have expected them to. So it is what it is. But all right, Steve, do you have anything else you want to touch on before we let you go?
No, I think we've covered everything. So
okay.
Appreciate your time. It's always
thank you. I appreciate yours.
You have a good one.
Later, man. All right, and for guys in the queue, Mike's going to be the last call today. So Michael Krokenoff is here. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, I can. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How you doing? How you feeling? I know Mike was one of the guys that was like, I don't think I should go on because I'm just going to bitch and complain.
Yeah, I'm just, as I said in the chat earlier, I'm definitely feeling burnt out with the project and what feels like a lack of progress. I know some people, I guess a lot of people say like, oh, we've had this. I'm trying to think of some stuff off the top of my head that's come out in like the last, since SitCon 2019. That's when I sort of base my progress point, because that was our last big showcase for Star Citizen, because that's when we had our last keynote presentation.
Yep.
And we're still waiting for 2019 SitCon stuff to come, like the Microtech mission, the AI transporting stuff, where we do the transporting AI from location A to location B for missions and stuff. Still waiting on that. They showed off then as well, but I just feel like we haven't had any really meaningful progress since 2019 SitCon.
What does meaningful progress mean to you? Because it definitely means something different to everybody.
Yeah, of course. Like, as far as, there's like two sides of it. One is things to do in the game. Like, the game has gotten prettier, there's more ships in the game, but overall, what we're doing in the game hasn't significantly changed since 2019. There isn't more things to do, it's just more of the same things, if that makes sense. So we've got more of these dynamic events. We've, like, Ninetales is just really a watered down Xeno threat, and Jumptown's probably the most unique air quote event we've had in a while, just because it is PvP based.
Well, it's also, the content is created by us for the most part. It's just we're brought over to a similar place, and then whatever happens.
Yeah, and we're hitting 2 years now since, or 3 years now since SitCon. Wait, 2020. Yeah, 3 years since SitCon 2019 now. And like, I still keep up to date with the game. I still follow your content, a lot of other, community content creators stuff. I don't really watch the Star Citizen Direct stuff anymore. I just sort of want to get the shortlisted version of it, as well as see like content creator thoughts on the game, because I don't know. I just don't know really. Like as I said before, salvage was a big thing for me. That's like one of the big things that I wanted to play when the game come in. I'm pretty disappointed with the first iteration of salvage they're going to give me. But I'll hop in and try it out, and then it might be really good. It might just be more of the same.
It may have sounded like I'm not upset with what it is. I obviously don't want that to be the
introduction to salvage.
Yeah. But
because it doesn't feel like salvage. It just feels like mining, but with ships. That's what it looks like to me.
It makes sense. And, so I'm okay with it as hull stripping, if this is what hull stripping is. I like what they've done with it, but that's where it stops.
Yeah. And we'll have to see what it's like, because it could be, once it's in our hands, it could be a completely different experience. And I'm going to try and reserve judgment on things until I get them in my hands now, because with experience in the past, when they show us something, it can be wildly different once we actually get it in our hands as players.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at the inventory, the way they showed it off, and it looked completely different to when we actually got it to use it.
Still a shitty third-person inventory.
Yeah, and
my biggest gripe is still there.
Yeah, and that's my biggest gripe as well. I think the whole third-person part of it is a big gripe for it as well. In addition to, it's just a slow system. Like, you can't do anything quickly and efficiently in it. So if you're, like, as I play Tarkov as an example, if I need to quickly do something, or change magazines, or do this, like beforehand, before we used to drop empty magazines, you had to manually drag magazines off and put them into different slots. You couldn't just quickly and easily change things out. So if you're stuck in combat and you've run dry on all your magazines, you can't, like, simple stuff like that. It's not fun for me as a player when it feels like I've got to go through all these extra hoops to do the same thing that a simpler system could have done. And that's probably my biggest gripe with Star Citizen in general, is that rather than, I remember someone in chat saying this earlier, and I definitely agree with it, rather than doing the Blizzard approach, which is... What is
the Blizzard? Because I saw that too. What is the Blizzard approach?
So what Blizzard does is they go, say Ultima Online did this thing really well, EverQuest did this thing really well, we're going to take what they did and then just optimize it a little bit better and make it suit how our game works. So rather than doing, say... I'm trying to think. There's a couple of things that they've done over the years.
Sierra keeps talking about Souls game. Like, he would always talk about Souls games.
Souls games. So, like, as an example, say, because like with Souls games, it can be pretty punishing. As an example of, like, if you die, you lose all your souls, and then if you die again, you've lost access to those souls. So, like, Death of a Spaceman could be like, you effectively get 2 chances. And then after that, you're completely wiped again. You have to start from collecting stuff from scratch. So that can be sort of taken as an example, and like the way you have to build up your character and that kind of stuff is extremely difficult in Souls games compared to like finding specific items and stuff to make your weapons stronger, or finding specific weapons, doing hidden quests, that kind of thing. So what Blizzard does, and what they used to do really well, is they would take... Say when they're making World of Warcraft, they go look at all the other MMOs in the market and they go, this works really well. They pick and choose what works really well in other systems, and then they just copy those systems rather than reinventing them. They copy what works and what they know works, what people want to play, and then they put that in their game. But then they just do a tune up on it to put kind of like their own spin on it, but it just works better, if that makes sense. So rather than just reinventing something, they take something that already works and they improve upon it. if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Star Citizen I get it with like the planets and stuff, that I kind of understand them taking it to that level. It is very cool in the scale and all that. But when it comes to, I don't know, it's weird. I like the direction that CIG goes in with a lot of things. Like, okay, well, if you were going to take mining from every other game, it would not be what we have with mining now. And I put a mining video out a long time ago where I said there's nothing wrong with mining necessarily. There's just no reason to do it.
And
the
that's,
act of mining is actually quite unique and quite special.
Yeah. And I definitely don't disagree with you there either.
And that's kind of a reinventing the wheel scenario in a way.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely opportunities and times when that should be done, especially when it's going to be something unique to your game. But when there's sort of systems like inventory as an example, which everyone's going to be using, that's a system that they have to use. Like, not everyone's going to be using mining. So you don't have, you can spend a bit more time to make mining a bit more special. Whereas inventory, everyone knows how inventory system works. Everyone knows exactly how they want an inventory to work. As Five Stripe is saying in chat, it's been around for decades. It's not new tech. We know what we want. The paper doll system works fantastically.
Perfect.
It's quick, efficient, and that's it. It works.
You don't hear people complain about it. So,
yeah, like
I certainly am complaining about the one we have now.
And there's advantages and disadvantages to both types depending on what they want to do. And it might be the case of the inventory system we've got now is the inventory system we've got because that's what they want in Squadron 42. And once Squadron 42 comes out, the inventory system will change for the PU. But we don't know that until Squadron 42 comes out. For me, in general, with Star Citizen, I think I'm trying to take the emotional aspect out of it more and look at it as a game that is trying to do groundbreaking technology as far as game design is concerned, like with Planetech and the whole server meshing system, where it's going to be air quote effectively one giant server to hold everyone, which World of Warcraft kind of did with their where they do have multiple servers tied together for like their battlegrounds and raids and stuff like that. And you can see different people from different servers on your same server as well. But I kind of just want to see how far we get down this rabbit hole that they want to go down. But I am kind of just getting tired of we're constantly waiting for X to get Y and like server meshing, and then when we get server meshing are we finally getting to PS? Once we get to PS, are we finally getting onto server meshing? And then once we've got server meshing, is Quanta finally going to come in? Because my understanding was that Quanta is one of the things Quanta is waiting on is server meshing. So we've got all these big pillar blockers of critical technology, and I'm just tired of waiting. I just want to play the damn game, and I'm just sick of waiting on Squadron 42. I'm sick of waiting on core tech to be done. I'm sick of being sold a game that's not a game. And I used to really love Star Citizen. I wouldn't say I was a full-on white knight. I would say the game has problems that need to be fixed, but I was definitely a lot more starry-eyed hopeful than I am now. So I've tried to just take a lot of the emotion out of it now. So it's just, I look at it very clinically, which I don't think is a good thing because I've lost all my passion for the project. And I think that's kind of what sucks the most is that Star Citizen since the SitCon 2019 really reignited my passion into the project. And the last 3 years has done nothing but destroy that passion that I've had for the project.
Yeah.
And I'm still hopeful that they're going to get it done and get it out. And, as you said, we don't know what's going on with Tony Z. And, what he's working on is Like a lot of the stuff they're working on is that, the simulation stuff and all that kind of the universe simulation, all that kind of stuff is like really amazing technology to see. But I want to see it in my hands. I'm sick of hearing about it, and I'm kind of tired of not knowing what direction sort of we're working towards. And we're hitting 10 years, we're hitting 10, 11 years now, and while this tech, it would have been groundbreaking 6 years ago, how much longer until other engines are going to be able to catch up to what they're doing and do it faster, more efficiently, and all this other stuff? Or if what's going to happen when we need to go to the next engine? Like how, because we've moved from, I can't even remember what the original, it was CryEngine, I think is what we're...
And then it was Star Engine, and then it was Lumberyard, and
it's still Star Engine. Star Engine is still the base. Like the actual, what they're working with is still Star Engine. But Lumberyard is...
We're not doing this UE5 conversation, though. We're not...
Yeah, of course. And, I'm just like kind of going, okay, well, we've moved from... I gave them a grace period because... transitioning to a new engine, that takes time. So now I can't remember when they transitioned now. It's been so long. I don't know if it was like 2018, 2019. But like, they were using CryEngine for 6, 7, 8 years. We're now hitting 6+ years with Lumberyard. How long till we're going to be looking at the next engine upgrade? And then the...
I'm kind of confused
Fallout,
what you're even saying.
Where I'm going?
They're making the engine upgrade. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's all they've been doing is upgrading the engine. That's the entire 10 years, dude. They've been doing is upgrading the engine. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about when the next upgrade engine is. It literally, they just talked about it with PES. That's the next engine upgrade. The one after that is server meshing. The one after that is whatever they do. The Gen 12 renderer. What do you think they've been doing?
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a 5 at the end of it. It's not UE5. it's they're just doing it and not telling you what the version number is.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know.
Nothing.
That's just how I feel.
Nothing related to the game, because who cares what the fucking engine version is? You just need tangible things that you enjoy about video games. You bought this game for a certain reason. You didn't get what you bought. And that's it.
Yeah.
And at some point, these guys have to fucking deliver on something, and they have to do something. And the problem is everything that they're doing actively fights against delivering the product that you purchased.
Yeah.
And it's getting frustrating.
And I don't disagree.
It's getting frustrating for nearly everybody. I don't think even the whitest of white knights cannot disagree with that sentiment. Is that you bought something, and there's literally the only people that have what they purchased are Reddit screenshotters.
Yeah.
And the Reddit screenshotter that I met at Epcot that is literally 7 feet tall, don't hurt me. He was a monster, this guy. But that's what he said. He goes, I got what I want. I just take screenshots. And I was like, oh, nice. Reddit. Cool. And
if you just want to see space and take screenshots, then I guess Star Citizen is the game for you.
Yeah.
Like I want to go explore space and see new things. And,
I didn't buy a screenshot sim.
Yeah, I didn't buy a screenshot sim either. I wanted to live and breathe the Star Citizen lifestyle. That was like, I wanted to become the Star Citizen of this universe. I wanted to fight on the fringes of Odin against the Vandal. I wanted to, smuggle things over all sorts of places and stuff. And I wanted to see and learn and do all these things, and I'm still waiting to do all these things, and I'm just going, I'm kind of like being emotionally invested in this game so long that I don't know if I should just, do I keep following it and hope that it's going to turn around, or do I just give up now? And I don't know, like I've taken a break for like about a year now.
You don't
from
have
the
to
game.
give up. There's no giving up. You already bought the game. There's no giving
Yeah,
up.
I know.
You don't get a refund on it, so you just... Why do... Like, even myself, I wonder, outside of the obvious reasons, the only thing that keeps me going, I think people are going to assume it's money, things like that, and that sounds like the obvious one. But if you ask my wife, there's been countless times where I have not wanted to post week in review.
Yeah.
It is a pain in the ass. I don't enjoy doing it most of the time until it's done. And then when it's out there and I finished it, I'm pretty happy with it, and like the process wasn't so bad at the end. But the comments, you're the one I go to for my Star Citizen news. That's the only reason I still follow the project the way I do. Because honestly, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Because there's nothing to care about at the moment.
Yeah.
But those people still do. And that's the only thing that's the only reason I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I think the type of content that Week in Review is not what I got into making YouTube videos for.
Yeah.
This podcast is not what I got into making YouTube videos for.
Yeah, of course.
I really like making like the guides and that kind of stuff. And but people ended up really liking Week in Review. And now I'm stuck. So like guys like you, there's no quitting. There's just like, all right, when it looks more interesting, I'll come check it out again.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, I definitely I can't understand where you're coming from because I'm not a content creator at the end of the day, but I can definitely understand the feeling of being stuck in a position like what you're in, and from previous roles I've worked in. So I can definitely understand that part of it, and hopefully we'll get some more tangible, stuff in the game that you can start making guides and stuff again. And I really enjoy your weekend review stuff. It's where I go to get my, as I said, I'm not really interested in following the project as closely anymore. So like stuff like weekend review, and that's helpful for me to, somewhat stay on top of the project. So, I appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of...
That's why I still make it.
Yeah.
Because if nobody watched and nobody cared, it's really easy to be like, you know what? Don't feel like doing it today.
Yeah.
Right?
Time to move on to something else kind of situation.
Exactly.
Let's find something else. And I understand that's like really hard for streamers and stuff in general. It's like when you build a community around a specific game, it's very hard to transition to something else.
Then don't. Somebody said in chat, fucking clowns, man. The idea of like, yeah, just let a bunch of people down. Sure. That's what it feels like. You're letting people down. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to just let people down.
Yeah, of course. And
like, I'd be lying if I didn't make like money that is fairly significant on YouTube now. It's pretty good. But I'm not having a conversation with people in Twitch chat during a podcast. That's for sure.
No, that's definitely understandable. But as far as like the project itself, I'm just kind of trying to detach myself from it, and I definitely appreciate what you and a lot of other content creators do as far as keeping everyone up to date on the project, because it is hard to keep up to date with this project between the roadmap, the progress tracker, which was I think that just caused more problems than it fixed, to be perfectly honest. there was completely no need to integrate that, and why they had to remake the roadmap to just make that thing was just confusing to begin with. And as I said, I just don't know anymore. That's literally how I feel about the project. I just honestly don't know anymore. And I'm hoping 318 is going to reinvigorate some of that passion again, because as a kid, I wanted to be
if they rebuilt trust with a lot of the people who kind of gotten bored with the game, and not just rebuild trust, but just give a little bit more, then it'll be pretty wild. I think that the funding is a a big topic for people, but it'd be really interesting to see what happens when they actually do something with the game, what the funding might actually look like.
When people are actually getting invested in it as well. If you look at it this way, if they have server meshing come in, and we actually do get the big, and they make a massive event about going to Pyro, and this is a lot of we're going into Imagine territory here. If they do that big, we're opening the gates to Pyro in this date, this time, we've got a countdown, and we've got server meshing in, and it's all working. Just imagining the amount of players coming back into the project. As I said, it's all Imagine coming back into the project. You're seeing thousands upon thousands of players coming in to do that transition to Pyro. And that's something that I think would be probably one of the an amazing experience. That would be a completely memorable, one of a kind of experience that we'd have with this game. That opening the gates of all these players going and flooding into this new system. And
but that only happens once, and that's one day. And then what?
Yep.
This has got to be a long-term thing, man. We got to focus on that. No, all this that's what they want, bro.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's the same thing that sells everybody that got you hooked, that got me hooked, that got all of us hooked, is some stupid fucking jump point opening up. Wow, look at all this stuff. And look at all this crazy, oh, wow, look at all these quick little videos we can post on social media. And then everybody buys the game, and then they find out that there's nothing on the other side.
Yeah, there's no substance to it.
Yeah, it's the same concept over and over again. The same thing you're pissed off about. You're literally advocating for.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know. I enjoy those kinds of things, back in when I used to play World of Warcraft, the gates of Anchorage opening, going to Outlands for the first time, all that kind of stuff. That was such a unique one-time experience, and
yeah, it's because of what's on the other end. It's not because of the fact that you were actually able to go through it.
Yeah, of course. And they handled those events really well. So it wasn't just, waiting to open the door. You had there was a massive event leading up to where they had to collect war resources and do all these other things, and, to make it so you could get through it. And, that kind of stuff, we'll just have to see if they do that kind of thing. But I don't think they will, because they don't have the resources to do it, because everyone's too busy with Squadron 42. So, there's so much I want for this game. And, as a kid growing up, I wanted to be a helicopter pilot, and I wanted to be an astronaut, and I wanted to be all these things. And Star Citizen was kind of like my childish dreams getting revisited. And I'm still kind of waiting. And, I just want them to just give us a clear answer on what the hell's going on with Squadron 42. I don't care about anything else with the PU anymore. I just want to know what the hell's going on with Squadron 42 and how much longer we're honestly going to be waiting for it. If they just give us, I don't care if they tell us it's 5 years away. I just need to know what the hell's going on with with Squadron 42. Because once that's out, then we should be able to go, okay, you finally released Squadron 42. Let's focus on the PU, and hopefully they don't go Squadron 42 Part 2. But we'll just have to see. They might do it because Squadron 42 might be super successful, and they might just go, "Oh, we'll just do this the part 2 and keep the PU stringing along." But yeah, I don't know. I just came on to have a chat, see how you're doing.
Great.
And great. And
You're doing
I wanted
great.
to. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to be super negative about the project. I don't think I've been super duper negative than I have been in the past. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to just like check in, show my face, and air some grievances, I guess. But
Yeah.
I just
And
want
what else
Squadron.
can we
I just
do?
want Squadron 42 to be done.
Next week we're going to be fully high, or what is it? 2 weeks from now, fully high on the copium. Fully just like, wow! Did you see that thing they showed? It's going to be so cool, and we're going to get duped again, and we're going to go, oh, this is so interesting, and we'll be back here 1 year from now complaining about the same fucking shit.
Yeah, well, I think if you go back and look at ATC right before SitCon or right before IE last year, I think I said almost the exact same words, was Squadron 42 is the ball and chain that is dragging down the PU. I think those are the exact words I said. And we're still here, or even that was 2 years ago, I think I said that. And we're a year or 2 years later, and we're still in a situation where Squadron 42 is the ball and chain dragging down the PU. And we're still waiting for all this Squadron 42 tech that was meant to be coming into the PU. I think you said earlier that in one of your videos that salvage or hull stripping is the first thing that was like, that was like Squadron 42 tested. That's going to be like feature complete. Like that was the whole point of focusing on Squadron 42,
Not
right?
Feature complete, more polished.
More polished. More polished. But what does more polished mean to CIG?
I mean, do I have to like explain it to you? I think it was very clear that this is more polished. I will shit on these people when they deserve it. This is not one of those situations where they deserve it at all. You get more polish. Okay, what would you have gotten for the Tier 0 version of hull stripping? You would have stripped a hull. It would have been some shitty fucking thing inside of your ship, and you would have only sold the hull stripping material. That's it. It would have been just like mining if you got the Tier 0 version. The Squadron 42 version is you got it on ships, you got it handheld, you got the ship that actually makes the canister that you put into the handheld thing, and then you repair your ship with it. So there's a little bit more to it. It's more polished than you would have gotten.
Yeah.
And I think that is the first example of the type of things that you should be expecting from them going forward. Right?
Yeah.
And then they need to, this is the most basic version of that. We need to start seeing level design, right? Mission design, that kind of stuff. So this is just the very first little miniature version of it. But my expectations were higher, and it is higher than their typical Tier 0 shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
It is less shit. That doesn't mean that it's exciting, and I'm drooling, and I cannot wait to pull out my fucking multi-tool and attach a second thing to it and repair my ship. I'm sorry. It's not this like incredibly engaging and exciting thing.
Yeah.
But it is better than what they had done in the past.
Yeah.
So
it's one more thing to do in the long list of things to do, I guess.
It's the level design and the mission design stuff. When that starts coming in, what is that going to look like? Is the big difference.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So yeah, the missions make a big deal in how they're going to integrate the lore into the missions. Because I think for me, lore is a big playing point.
Make this your final point, though, Mike, because I got to go. It's been, been 2 hours.
Yeah, lore is probably the big thing for me. Like, I've gotten into quite a bit of the SC lore, and I quite enjoy it. So I want to see them integrating it more into the game. And as I said, like fighting off the Vandal was a big thing I wanted to do in this game, and got to wait for Squadron 42 to see the Vandal in game. So I just got to wait and see. But I just want to see them use more of the amazing lore that the lore teams come up with and put it in the damn game. That's about it.
All right.
That's
it will only be interesting if the missions are interesting, and they can't do that.
True.
So,
yep, that's true. So we just have to hope that the Squadron 42 missions are balls to the wall amazing, and that they come across to the PU balls to the wall amazing.
Yeah. But all right, Mike, we'll let you go, buddy.
All right, have a good run, Mike.
We let it all out. We can't complain for a while now.
Yep.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye.
I'm playing with you soon. Bye. All right, that was whatever the fuck this was. I am definitely in a place where I've had enough. I don't think that this is the kind of content that anybody wants to listen to, but it's also sometimes you just got to lay it out and let it out and yeah, but just don't know what to do anymore. Hopefully we get some oomph with CitizenCon, and hopefully 318 is I can't even say it with a straight face. 318 is going to be a disaster, and let's leave that expectation right where it is. It's going to be a complete disaster, and that's it. And it is what it is. That's the expectation going in. I don't think anybody should have any higher expectations than very unstable, right? PES, all those problems. It's going to be stable. It's not going to be stable, I should say. So it's going to be really tough compared to stable patches that we've had. So it's going to be really difficult to play the game, and that's it. And my wife is looking at me like, when are we going to eat? So we'll say goodbye to everybody. Tell them to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Thank you. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Do all that stuff. Goodbye.